Okay, picture this. Your kid is still going to school every single day. There are no bruises, no torn clothes, no dramatic phone calls from the principal. But the kid who used to talk your ear off straight through dinner, now they just mumble fine and bolt straight to their room. Sunday night headaches have suddenly become a weekly routine. A favorite club is, out of nowhere, described as boring. They're checking their phone constantly, but placing it face down the absolute second you walk into the room. If any of this sounds familiar, you are definitely in the right place. Welcome to this explainer on spotting the hidden, quiet signs of peer bullying. Today, we're going way beyond the obvious to help you recognize distress without waiting for a smoking gun. Navigating this kind of worry can feel totally overwhelming, but I want to reassure you right now. We have a calm, clear roadmap for this explainer today. We'll start by looking at the warning sign paradox, then we'll break down the 6 subtle sign clusters you need to know. After that, we'll cover common parent pitfalls, and finally, we'll leave you with an actionable parent playbook. Section 1. The warning sign paradox. You know, as parents, we are fiercely protective. But sometimes, honestly, our biggest mistake isn't a lack of caring. It's looking for the wrong kind of proof. Think about those minor, unexplained behaviors. Is it really just a Sunday night headache? Are they just tired? Because, let's face it, bullying rarely arrives with a neat little label or a grand announcement. No single sign proves bullying, and to be real, some kids show absolutely zero signs. We're way more likely to notice changes around the experience rather than the experience itself. But because we don't see a bruised knee or get a tearful confession, we kind of just dismiss it. So, let's dive into what we call the warning sign paradox. It's a huge contradiction. On one hand, we parents are waiting for absolute, unmistakable proof, like a giant, flashing neon sign that explicitly says, "I am being bullied." But on the other hand, the child actually is communicating their distress. They're just doing it through really subtle, easily dismissed behavioral changes. The big takeaway here? These warning signs are invitations to look closer. They are not diagnostic tests. We don't need absolute certainty to start getting curious. Section 2. The 6 subtle sign clusters. Let's explore the subtle patterns that totally fly under the radar. These are your guide to decoding what's going on. There are 6 specific symptom clusters to watch for. We've got the body keeping a schedule, school avoidance where they actually still go to school, academic changes that masquerade as pure laziness, sudden friendship isolation, contradictory digital behavior, and anger that gets released at home. What we're doing here is looking for patterns tied to certain days or places or maybe specific peers. One bad grade or one random headache, that doesn't prove bullying. But a cluster of these changes, yeah, that definitely deserves some calm investigation. Now, what's really interesting is how we often frame physical symptoms. The research shows a massive link between peer victimization and psychosomatic complaints, stomach aches, headaches. And listen, this does not mean the symptoms are fake or imaginary. Stress is literally experienced right through the body. So if your kid is visiting the school nurse at the exact same time every single week, like, say, right before gym class, well, pattern recognition is your absolute best tool here. Let's see how this actually plays out at school. Notice the difference between school avoidance and academic changes. Your kid might technically be present, so you're thinking, great, perfect attendance. But look closer. Are they spending all their energy avoiding specific hallways, skipping lunch, hovering near teachers? That is a safety strategy right there. On the flip side, look at academic changes. It might look like laziness or a sudden hatred for math class, but a lot of the time it's an attention problem created by a social threat. Think about it. A kid who is constantly scanning the room, just anticipating humiliation, they have literally zero mental resources left over to learn algebra. And here's a rarely considered sign I really want to flag for you: unexplained missing money or damaged items. If your kid keeps losing their favorite sweatshirt or their phone screen is mysteriously smashed and they completely refuse to talk about it, that could signal hidden harassment. Sometimes kids will literally hand over their lunch money just to make the harassment stop, or they hide the damage to their stuff out of pure embarrassment. It's a quiet sign, but man, it's a powerful one. Section 3. Common parent pitfalls. All right, so now that we know what to look for, what happens when we actually spot these signs? Naturally, when we get worried, our first instinct is to demand the truth. We sit them down and just ask point blank, "Are you being bullied?" But honestly, that usually backfires. A kid might say no because what's happening doesn't fit their own personal definition of bullying. Or maybe admitting it just feels way too humiliating. A closed question gets a closed answer. So instead, try concrete, open questions. Ask something like, "Where at school do you feel least safe?" Or, "Which notification on your phone makes your body tense up?" This approach invites them to share their reality, completely stripping away the pressure of a label. So the crucial point here is what happens next. The instinct for a lot of us is what I call the public rescue. You start calling other parents, venting in a local Facebook group, maybe even confronting another student. Your intention is pure protection, I totally get it. But the result? It almost always just increases the attention, the embarrassment, and the chance of retaliation against your kid. Instead, you really want to advocate for the smallest effective circle. Identify one single point of contact at the school, preserve the information, and ask for a discreet assessment. You want to protect their privacy while addressing the threat. Section 4. The Actionable Parent Playbook. Okay, time to shift from anxiety to action. First up is a really fantastic tool, the 5-domain change scan. Instead of totally panicking over one symptom, you calmly look for convergence across 5 key areas of your child's life: their body, school, relationships, emotions, and digital life. In each of these domains, just ask yourself 3 simple questions. What changed? When did it change? And where or with whom is it strongest? Let me tell you, a headache right before the bus, combined with a sudden dead silence in their favorite group chat, gives you a much, much clearer picture than either of those signs alone. When you are finally ready to bring this up with your child, the delivery is absolutely everything. You do not want this to feel like an interrogation. Actually, I want you to try softening your voice and using this exact script. I may be wrong, but I have noticed a pattern, and I want to understand. You are not in trouble. See what that does? It removes the blame. It completely removes the pressure of needing absolute proof right this second. It just communicates that you are present, you're observant, and you are on their side. And when you do reach out to the school, present the pattern you've observed through that 5-domain scan. Rather than demanding immediate action based on one single assumption, share the whole cluster of changes. Request a discrete assessment of specific locations like the bus or the cafeteria. And this is so important. Focus your energy on ensuring your child's safety and behavior change rather than demanding confidential details about exactly how the other kid is going to be punished. To put all of this into motion, we have this 72-hour plan. And this brilliantly illustrates how a simple timeline brings a deep sense of order to what is otherwise an incredibly overwhelming situation. Day 1, just check immediate safety, listen without interrogating, and write down a timeline of what you've noticed. Day 2, identify the highest risk location and make that initial discreet contact with the school. Day 3, follow up. Ask your kid if they feel safer, check for any subtle signs of retaliation, and evaluate if their mood or sleep is starting to shift back to normal. I want to leave you with a little challenge, a small family experiment. For the next 7 days, instead of doing the whole repeated "what happened at school today" routine, hold one predictable 10-minute check-in each day. Briefly review those domains. Let them pass on questions if they want to. By the end of the week, ask yourself, what subtle patterns did I notice? What moment felt hardest for them? Because small, repeated observations often reveal what one dramatic conversation simply cannot. You have the tools now to spot the quiet changes before they become completely overwhelming. So, what hidden patterns are you getting noticed this week?